Let me ask you about some of the other things you brought up, though. How do you think about the notion of sustainability? Obviously, this is a big word. It's got a lot of hype. Everybody's kind of talking about it, but it seems to mean lots of different things.
It does.
How do you in the food service industry think about, or how do you personally think about it?
Well, from a standpoint of from like a business person, obviously I want to be able to provide an environment where my staff, my kitchen staff, my dining room staff, have a place where they can earn money.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But I also want to be able to provide an experience for my guests coming in that they wouldn't otherwise get at home. And since more and more of our guests are dining out more frequently, you know, this is our opportunity to make that connection. Now, sustainability has a lot of different lenses that you can think about. Right. Thinking about from the environment and how do we order product, how do we select dishes that maintain sustainability. Right. It goes into a lot of different factors.
Does it mean something like in this community we have to be producing food in such a way that it can continue to be produced in that way? Is that kind of the vague notion here? Or?
Yeah, I think from that perspective as well. This idea that we have limited resources, whether it's limited land for growing crops or raising animals, and then, thinking about it from a consumer's perspective, wine and beverages. We only have a certain amount of a vintage of wine, and how are we going to be able to allow everyone to partake of it if we only have a certain number of bottles? So it can come in lots of different forms. And I think the challenge from an organization standpoint is in order to be sustainable from a business standpoint, to have your doors open, pay your bills, and make a profit, you have to think about, okay, how much am I willing to invest? Because in order to be sustainable, or if you want to go all organic, or you want to stay focused local to support the sustainability of the community, there's a cost associated with that.
Sure.
And if my consumer, my guest coming into the restaurant is expecting, dinner for $15, there's only so much that I can provide for them that's healthy, that supports the local community, and keep it at that price point. Not just from the product standpoint, but my staff standpoint. How can I pay my servers if everyone coming in wants a value meal and wants to spend $4 and gets a huge mountain of food? I mean, that's also not sustainable.
So you have to worry about your workers and the business and keeping that sustained. But then you're also thinking about the systems that produce food and whether or not they're sustainable rather than exploitative, or somehow producing effects that are ultimately going to be detrimental to the picture.
And I think a lot of that comes back to education and letting the guests know what you do. And that can be through training of your staff. It doesn't necessarily have to say on the menu, although we do like to promote it on the menu. We support this local farm or this grower. But also educating your staff when the guest asks a question, oh, well, where was this beef? Where did it come from? So that the staff know, okay, we can respond in a way that can actually answer the question and still create an environment where the guest wants to come back.